So it's Wednesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day. Um, which is a stupid freaking tradition. Anyway, uh, once it hits the end of January, I'm kind of over winter. It's been cute, it's been fun. Let's move on. But, you know, climate doesn't see it the same way. Anyway, so I wanted to talk for just a minute about Whoopi Goldberg getting suspended from The View. On Monday, she said that the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. And she said it had to do with man's inhumanity to man. And when she said that, because she's an informed person who is not anti anything except ignorance, belligerence, and stupidity and meanness. I just I assumed what she was trying to say was because she doesn't always articulate the things that she wants to say in the clearest manner. So I assumed what she was trying to say by saying that the Holocaust wasn't about race; it was about man's inhumanity to man. I thought she was just trying to say that the bigger story and the umbrella that the Holocaust falls under is how terribly we as humans treat each other when and treat others. I thought that she was just sort of elevating the whole argument up to the next level of intolerance, injustice, and bigotry. But then when she came out with her apology the next day, it was clear she actually did mean that she didn't think it was about race, which she is clearly wrong about. And that was surprising to hear. And I'm not entirely sure if that's the apology that was crafted for her, the way she should say it, or how that came about. This is my own bias, wanting to believe that Whoopi isn't that careless. But apparently, she meant it. So she issued the apology and talked about, it wasn't her intent to offend, and then had on an expert on anti-Semitism on the Holocaust to give a schooling to Whoopi, to the audience, to make it clear in no uncertain terms that this is what it was about. That Hitler's Germany considered the Jewish people an inferior race and that they should be eradicated. So I kind of thought it would end there. She addressed it, and not only did she address it, but then on her same platform in which she said it, so assuming there's a large carryover of audience who heard her say it the first time, now gets to hear the actual explanation and educated fact and truth about why what she said was incorrect. And so it seemed to me like that was kind of it. So I was surprised that they suspended her for 2 weeks. And I'm not really sure why they would do that, other than the cynical part of me says, in order to just get headlines about, and to show that, they're even-handed, and they're not showing any favor. And I don't know. I think that it seems a little performative to me. But again, that could be my own bias because it just doesn't make sense to me. And because I want to believe the best in Whoopi. But our dear friend Megan wrote about it, and she doesn't think that Meghan McCain does not believe that Whoopi's apology was sincere enough. Um, she says, I was lectured to thousands of times on The View. There is a belief, by the way, this is a terribly constructed sentence and poorly punctuated, and it was written, but whatever. It's the We've all learned that she's not a writer. Um, she only spoke her little memoir, didn't even put that one in print. I was lectured to thousands of times on The View. There is a belief that cancel culture is really accountability culture among the woke left. I don't think we're supposed to be using woke unless it's specifically a racial term. She's using it as the blanket term to mean it's what now it's replaced what we used to call PC, politically correct, and now it's being used slanderously against people who are showing empathy. So there's a belief that cancel culture is really accountability culture, which seems to be a belief that's quickly forgotten whenever it's Whoopi who has to be held to account, which is just a bullshit answer and argument. She's jealous of Whoopi because Whoopi's smarter and beloved. But I think Whoopi was held to account. Like literally, she tweeted out an apology that night. She addressed it on air on the same program in which she made the mistake, made the error, said something incorrect, said something offensive, and then actually had a lesson for everyone. And it was a long segment. It wasn't a throwaway thing. And so, Meghan in her stupid Daily Mail column says how horribly she was treated after she called the founders of the Women's March anti-Semitic. But Meghan, you weren't suspended from The View, so I don't know how you can possibly think that you were treated worse. I don't get that. And then she says, this is great. She doesn't believe that Whoopi should be fired for this transgression. And then she quotes, if only because I don't believe there is any universe where she could possibly do anything that could get her fired. So that's two different things. You're saying you don't believe that they would ever fire her for anything that she ever does. But that's not the same as saying you don't believe that she should be fired. You're mixing your own opinion on two different topics into one thing. And then she says Whoopi is the crown jewel of the View and a pop culture icon. That's her as justification for saying The View will never fire her. I don't think that the ABC News is stupid enough to keep someone on who would tarnish their brand. The thing is, I doubt Whoopi's going to do anything that drastic to tarnish their brand. I think this is probably the biggest egregious mistake that she has made in how many 10 years on the show, whatever, something like that. So, and it's clearly that Meghan's a little jealous that people like Whoopi doesn't and forgive Whoopi. And it just goes back to all the things that we had to go through listening to her stupid fucking book. Meghan, people don't like you because they don't like you. It's not about your personality. It's not about your political views. It's your personality, and why people don't like you. And writing something like this, trashing your old friend, and she goes on to talk about the show. How hard it is to watch, the degradation of the show that she's put so much time and energy into. And she says, it's not that I expect compelling or nuanced political discussions from daytime television, but it's sad to see the recent litany of embarrassing moments from a show I've invested so much time and effort in trying to elevate to a more serious level. You're not a serious person, Meghan. You weren't elevating to a serious level. You were using it as a pulpit to spread talking points. She's so delusional. And anyway, and if you don't expect a compelling or nuanced political discussion from daytime television, and that's what you want to do, why did you go on the fucking show? You hypocrite. Anyway, that's the Meghan rant for the day. She can just go home. That's a nice thing to say, right? I'm trying not to be mean.